Now, first part requires us to find the values of k, p, and q from the graph information that we have here. So the equation of the sine graph would be just y equals to k sine px plus q. So k is actually the amplitude of the graph. So k multiplied to this sine, k factor multiplied to this sine function. So it's good to note that the central line is actually y equals to minus 2. So, and the distance from the central line to the maximum or the minimum point would be the amplitude itself. Alright, not the distance from the maximum to the minimum, but from the maximum to the central line. So this is minus 2 units, this is 1. So we can easily find k by counting 1, 2, 3 units. So k equals to 3. Next, we need to find the p, the value of p. So p is a factor multiplied by to x, which is the angle. So the px is actually determined by the period of the graph. So the period, which is 1 cycle. Now the period of 1 cycle takes place from 0 degrees all the way to 720 degrees. So the period, okay, which is also part 2 answer. So you can write down part 2 and solve value of p at the same time. So the period is actually 720, and that is given from the formula 360 divided by the factor p inside. So px, so 360 divided by this p value will give us the period of the graph. So solving p, let's bring this over, 360 over 720, my value of p will be half. And lastly, the value of q. So the value of q, now note that if there is no q here, so it will just be k times sine px. Now the central line for this graph, this type of graph, would always be the x-axis or the line y equals to 0 itself. So this is y equals to 0, which is the x-axis. So now when it's affected by this q, it's because you add q, alright? So either you add q or you subtract q will affect this central line. So the x-axis will shift up or down. So notice that the graph, this sine graph, the central line is at y equals to minus 2. So it has come down from x-axis down by 2 units to this central line here. So the difference is brought down by minus 2, which is accountable for this q. So the value of q, minus 2. So part 2, we have solved the period of the function is 720 degrees. Now part 3, we need to find the range of values of c in this equation here, whereby the graph k sine px plus q, which is this sine graph here, this curve, and the intersection with the line y equals to c, right, has only 2 solutions. So keep in mind that we are actually finding the intersection of between, okay, so this equation here means we are finding the intersection points between the graphs y equals to k sine px plus q, okay, which is already given, the curve, as well as the line y equals to c. So between these 2 graphs, there could only be 2 solutions. So now look at the graph itself. If I draw one line here, for example, the line will cut through at 2 points on the curve itself, the sine graph. So again, one line here, let's say y equals to minus 4. So if I cut through a straight line, y equals to minus 4, moving through a straight line, we'll see that there are 2 intersection points. So if we bring down the graph, bring down the line, we'll see that if y equals to minus 5, right, this is a straight line, so if y equals to minus 5, the line y equals to minus 5 and the sine graph will only have one point of intersection, which is not what we want. So we know that C must be at least minus 5 or more. So more than minus 5. Alright. And if we bring up the line higher to this point here, y equals to minus 2, now we can see that y equals to minus 2 has many intersection points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 of them, which is also not what we wanted. So above minus 2 will also give us 4 intersection points. For example, if I draw y equals to minus 1, which is this line. So moving through this straight line, I'll see 1 intersection point, 2 intersection point, 3, and 4. So any value above minus 2, or including minus 2 itself, will not be accepted because there will be at least 4 intersection points already. So 4 solutions, exactly 4 solutions. So between this range, which is exactly what is given in the graph, we can conclude that the range of values of C is between minus 5 all the way to n minus 2. Sorry, this is minus 2. So this will be the answer.